Hello, here in this video we're going to be looking at applications of exponential functions. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip it to what would be the third page here. So it's Appendix A-3 exponential functions. And before we get going on that though, here's just kind of some information about us in terms of our exponential functions. It's always y is equal to a times b to the x, where if b is bigger than 1, we have growth. If b is in between 0 and 1, we have decay. Now, to find our growth factor when we're given percents, we do 1 plus whatever our percent is as a decimal. And our decay factor is when we do 1 minus whatever our percent is as a decimal. And to turn a percent into a decimal, we know that we have to divide it by 100, which is the same thing as moving the decimal spot to the left 2 spots. Right? It's easy to mess up on that. You see that I did there for a second. Alright, so here we are on this page of applications of exponential functions. And let's go down and let's look at number 4 here. It says, suppose a new business borrows $50,000 from for your startup funds. The business will repay the loan in one payment 5 years from now, and the interest rate is 12.5%. It says for part A, what is the growth factor of the loan? Alright, so now the way we're going to find it is thinking about it in terms of what we have. So we know we're growth. We know that we're going to do the decimal. Now it looks like our percent here is at 12. Is a 0.125. Right, so we take this. We have a 0.125. So 1 plus 1, 2. That's my baby. One, two. Alright, good. Now it's saying write an equation to model the growth of the loan. This is where we're going to get the fact that y equals a times b to the x. We have a starting value. We're going to put that in there. Alright, we know. Right, and then don't forget to pop in here in our exponential area. Alright. Then part C says, find the amount that the business will owe you when the loan comes due. Right, so here we go. We have our starting value, we have our B value, because interest is something that adds on, right? So when we borrow a loan, we have more money than we borrowed. So here's how we're going to find this. We'll take our calculator, we just have to type it in. We have our B value of that 1.125, and we'll raise it to our exponent here. And since it's asking us, find the amount that's from 5 years, right? So that's going to be our exponent. So we push our up arrow, and we push our 5, and then this is going to be the amount that we owe them after 5 years. So you can see that's a lot more than we initially borrowed, and that's this. It was 62 cents there for us, right? So we found the growth factor. Right, we're taking 1 plus our percent of the decimal, or decimal. We toss in our starting value, our B value, raise it to a 5. All that on the calculator, and it's all our answer. All right, good. So if we flip the page over here to the back, so we'll be looking at this exponential practice problem. This is a separate piece of paper. We'll do that for space purposes here. All right, so now let's take a look at one, and I'm going to find us one that has a good example of decay. And a good example of that is going to be number 1. We have a new truck is purchased for $32,500. We have a starting value there, and it will depreciate, which means go down. It's losing value. So it says for part A, write an exponential function, or write an equation to find the value of the truck after X years. All right, so here we go. Value of 32,000, and it says it is. All right, so let's talk about how we can find our B value. Here's our A value to start with. Since we're talking about decay here, 1 minus our percentage decimal. So to find that percentage decimal, we divide or think about two spots to the left. So our decimal is 11 there. So now to find our p-value, we can think about it as we had a dollar, we spent 11.89. All right. So there's our p-value. Here's our a-value. We can go ahead and use that. It would be y 500 times our b-value. So we're going to use x up here as our exponent. Now, part B says calculate the value of the truck in 4 years and to show our work. All right, so to calculate that, instead of plug in one, and then we'll see what this is going to look like. All right, so we have our calculator. Started off at 32,500. We multiplied by 0.89. It was a losing 11% value of the year. We're looking for after 4 years. All right, so that's going to be the value of the truck that is left over here. 390 and 23. All right, good. So with that, that answered part B here. Part C, it says, when will the truck be worth $10,000? So there's a couple different ways of how we can find this. One way is, we can start plugging in until we kind of cross over that 10,000. Right? That's one way of doing it. So and just take a guess. Let's say after 12 years. All right, so say, okay, well, after 12 years, I know that it's gone past that $10,000. So maybe there's one soon. All right, so maybe we'll try 10 years. All right, so there we go. So it looks like 10 years, it's still above that. So let's check it here. Pass it over. Yeah. All right, so after 11 years, it looks like it's asking the question, when will the truck be worth $10,000? Well, in year 10, it's worth $10,000, 134. So then it crosses over there at year 11. So depending on how you interpret the question, you could kind of go with either one of those. You could say at year 10 it's worth right about 10,000, but at year 11 that's when it's no longer worth 10,000. So the question is a little bit ambiguous there. So, but I'd say when is it worth $10,000? I'd say a little bit after 10 years. Right? Because here's our value after 10 years. So a little bit after 10 years is what we're looking at. Right? And that's how we can answer a question like that.